Norwood City Council is hereby called to order. Please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, as a body we congregate in these council chambers. We pray for thy divine guidance that we may do all things well, according to thy holy will. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Here.
Mr. Whittington?
Here.
Ms. Allen?
Here.
Mr. Thornbury?
Here.
Mr. Sanker?
Here.
Mr. Mumford?
Here.
All members are present. We have several requests to amend the agenda. First of all, on the ordinance that you have, ordinance 2, ordinance to change appropriations, there is a new Exhibit A on your desk. There were a couple of additions. If you need to know what those were, under the increase, they were the police department contractual services, and under decrease, unassigned vehicles, contractual services and materials and supplies. So those are the only three changes, but just note that there's a new Exhibit A. The other requests to address the other amendments, requested amendments to the agenda, are three ordinances. The first is an ordinance adopting new Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Norwood, Ohio, entitled Income Tax Effective January 1st, 2016, and declaring an emergency. The second is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Open Incorporated, DBA Safety Pad for the Safety Pad and other software products and related maintenance and services with said software products for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. The third is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Medicount Management, Inc. for EMS billing services for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. And then we have a letter from the mayor to add under administrative reports. What's your pleasure? Mr. Mumford?
I move we amend the agenda as you just stated.
You don't want to restate that? Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Sanker. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornbury?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Next are minutes of the August 11th, 2015. Mr. Clark?
Move to approve the minutes as of read.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornbury?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have two requests to address council, but not on agenda items, so we'll deal with those later on in the meeting. We have no reports of standing committees or third or second reading of ordinances. So we'll move on to introductory reading of ordinances. The first is an ordinance making permanent appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2016, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Sanker.
Madam President, I didn't make a motion that we have all three readings.
Seconded by Mr. Mumford. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sanker.
Yes, Madam President, just the 2016 appropriation that we have before everyone, we worked on with Mr. Stith in regards to at least getting started for next year. This will be amended multiple times over the course of the year. This particular ordinance is quite similar to 2015 as far as the budget for individual departments. We will still be running in the red at the end of this year, and next year is going to be a very tight year as this one was. And hopefully in 2017 we'll see some light at the end of the tunnel. One of the reasons is that And this appropriation, instead of going to try to refinance the 1.2 plus million in bond payments that would be due come March of this year, we decided to put that into the appropriations to pay that off, along with our regular $200,000+ bond payment that we will have due over the next few years as well. But that way, we'll get out from under the big one. And so it'll make for a tight year this year, but at least we will put that behind us and move forward. So basically, it's similar to last year's, except for the fact that we are going to put that bond payment in there to pay that off in 2016's fiscal year.
Is there any other discussion? Ms. Allen?
Is right now the appropriate time to ask a question about a line item, or should we wait until the?
I think it's
That's
appropriate
okay?
now.
Okay, so I think this question, I guess, is to Mr. Sanker, or the mayor, I'm not sure which one would know better, but under the building department, I have a question about contractual expenses. Is that for, can you explain what that goes for?
Mr. Sanker? can you-
Madam President, thank you. Yes, we contract out with our plans examiner and the head of the building department as well. And so that's why that contractual number is where it is. That pays the salaries for both of those individuals, Jerry Stoker, and I can't pronounce the other fellow's name, who actually are part of the building department.
Thank you. And I just had one quick follow-up question, if
Yes.
that's okay to Mr. Sanker. Was there any discussion about the possibility, I know typically we've had a contractual worker, but having a full-time head of the building department, like a civic employee, was there any discussion of that, or was it, I didn't know if you could answer that.
Mr. Sanker?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have any insight into why, or is that just not something that's a possibility at this point?
Mr. Mayor, you want to help us
It would
out?
be cost prohibitive.
Okay, thank you.
Sign up plus they're tough to find.
Right, I just wanted to understand and make sure folks understood what that was about, so, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to suspend the rules and have all three readings. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all three readings.
Ordinance making permanent appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31, 2016, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance making permanent appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31, 2016, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance making permanent appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31, 2016, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Clark?
Move that the ordinance be passed.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Next is an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Mr. Sanker?
Madam President, I would like to move we have all three readings of the ordinance by caption only.
Seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Madam President, as going through this, as it's getting close to the end of the year, there were adjustments that needed to be made both up and down in various departments in different personnel keys and also in different revenue keys. And so that therefore, that kind of explains why a lot of these changes are being made. So this will get us at least good for the next 2 weeks, and I'm sure we'll be having additional changes to help wind down the end of the year at our next meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Senker. Is there any other discussion? The motion on the floor is to suspend the rules. Please have the roll call.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry. Yes. Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all three readings.
Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2015 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mumford,
Move the ordinance be passed.
seconded by Ms. Allen. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden,
Yes.
Mr. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Whittington,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry. Yes. Mr. Sanker,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper.
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We'll now move on to the third ordinance, an ordinance adopting new Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Norwood, Ohio, entitled Income Tax effective January 1st, 2016, and declaring an emergency. For your information, the tax commissioner is here. Mr. Barlow, if you are interested. Yes, Mr. Sanker.
Thanks, Madam President.
Sorry.
But I
Didn't
would,
mean to insult you. No.
along with your comments, I would like to invite Mr. Barlow up to give an explanation of the justification of this ordinance.
Mr. Barlow?
Hello.
Hello.
What this has been going on, the state passed House Bill 5, so this is basically a mandate by the state that we have to have this ordinance with the changes that they're making passed by December 31st of this year. If we don't have it passed by then, we quite likely lose our ability to collect earnings taxes. So
Can you elaborate on the changes that House Bill 5 enacted?
it's a lot of housekeeping type things, I think. Our rate's staying 2%, that's not changing. They're trying to go a little more uniform across the state, all municipalities. Some of the, I guess, the highlights would be, it's kind of boring, but there used to be a 12-day rule for workers in the city. If they come in for 12 days, they're here beyond 12, we collect earnings tax retro back to day one. 12-day went to 20-day rule with no retroactive, so people that are here for construction jobs, if they're here for 22 days, we collect the last 2 days, not the first 20. But there are, I don't know, what you would say, there's examples of where if they collect, but if they get a refund from the city, then we can get it collected. So it's going to be it's very convoluted. We'll see what happens. I think it'll be amended. Also, refunds, if a refund is less than $10, we won't be refunding it. That's statewide. It's now $10 or over. Individuals that have quarterly estimates, they have to be at least $200 now to collect quarterlies. We were collecting at $100, so now it'll be that. The dates for collection will change of earnings or of estimated tax. Quarterly estimated tax will go the 15th day of the last month of the quarter now, as opposed to it used to be the 31st of the month following. I think off the top of my head, what else? The big ones for the
Are there criminal penalties different?
well, the penalty actually for withholding, if a company doesn't pay, it used to be 1% per month, and there was interest of 1% per month. The penalty now is 1/2 of what was due at the time, and the interest rate will now be whatever the federal short-term rate is in July plus 5%. That will be the interest rate for the following year, and we'll have that will be posted on the website by October 31st. It is. Yeah, it's a lot of changes to the state. I don't know how they came up with them, but they did. Let's see what else. The date that it'll be due this year, 2015 tax year will be due on April 18th this year because we have to match whatever day the state is. That'll be ours. So it'll change every year depending on when the state collects. Once their due date, that'll be our due date. Then there's stuff with allocation with business, but that's now to class. So.
Does anyone have questions? Mr. Sanker?
Just a quick question, Mr. Barlow. In your opinion, do you see this type of ordinance, being it's mandated by the state and going statewide, is like the first step for the state to start implementing their own collection procedures for all the municipalities and then divvying up what each individual municipality is owed from the state.
In my opinion, yes. I think this is what they're going to do because some of these things, it's to go uniform across the state with all municipalities. Some things are good in it. I agree with everybody having the same estimated payments. If that's the threshold, that's the threshold. But there are things with business allocation, like I said, the 20-day rule. If you have a construction worker that works 25 days in Norwood, 50 in Cincinnati, 30 here, 30 there, you can't collect except those last 2 days. But then if they get a refund from somewhere else, wherever their main place of work is, where they do that, if they get a refund from that city, say they're headquartered in Evendale, if they get a refund based on days traveled out of Evendale, then we can collect. But it's going to be a matter of, we'll have to find that out.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of communication between municipal tax offices all around. And I think the state their plan is to make this so convoluted and more work that maybe some municipalities will just go and collect for us. We don't care. I don't agree with that because I think there'll be fees attached to it and we won't get all the money we get now. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Whittington?
When did the state pass this?
It was in 2014, and we've been waiting for it because there's been questions of, well, eventually down the road, it could be contested because the state kind of overstepped. That's my opinion again, because they're mandating things that are beyond their realm to mandate. And then there are some things for businesses, the net loss carryover for how long that was supposed to be. A committee was supposed to be set up to investigate that. The committee was never set up. So everybody's kind of passing their ordinances now. In the last month and up to now, everybody's waited to the end because they were hoping for justification and clarification. There's still things that aren't clarified in it, but this is what we have so far. So agree, I think it'll be amended. We'll probably be amending this chapter 182. And that's one thing too, that's why it's chapter 182. We have this ordinance for 2016, for January 1st, 2016 going forward. We're not repealing the old ordinance because we have to keep that in line to collect taxes for 2015 and go back years for folks that may have not filed their 13 or 14 yet. So we will have 2 tax ordinances based on date going forward.
Mr. Whittington?
So what happens if the majority of the municipalities don't pass these ordinances?
They will not be able to collect taxes. That's coming from the state. That's one of the penalties. At least not for 2016. So we're passing it now, and it comes into play with the quarterly estimates paying, but we won't really see the effects until January of 2017 when we can start collecting for 2016 individual returns.
Any other questions? Thank you, I think.
Thank you.
What's your pleasure? Mr. Sanker,
I'd make a motion, we have all 3 readings by caption only.
seconded by Mr. Mumper. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings.
Ordinance adopting new Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Norwood, Ohio, entitled Income Tax, effective January 1, 2016, and to declare an emergency. Ordinance adopting new Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Norwood, Ohio, entitled Income Tax, effective January 1, 2016, and to declare an emergency. Ordinance adopting new Chapter 182 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Norwood, Ohio, entitled Income Tax, effective January 1, 2016, and to declare an emergency.
Mr. Mumper,
I move the ordinance be passed.
seconded by Mr. Sanker. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Move on to the fourth ordinance, an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with OPEN Incorporated, DBA Safety Pad, for the Safety Pad and other software products and related maintenance and services with said software products for the Norwood Fire Department, and declaring an emergency. And Chief Goodman is here. I will just note that for you as well. Mr. Sanker.
Madam President, I would recommend that Chief Goodman address council in regards to this ordinance, please.
Chief Goodman, could you come forward?
Thank you. This ordinance and the next ordinance are kind of tied together. This goes back to the Department of Human Services investigation on that tough book we lost years ago, and we had to come up with new SOPs and do everything to satisfy their requirements. So basically what we're trying to do now is limit our exposure. So this is the reporting software that we'll be using from now on. It's cloud-based, so none of the information is going to be kept on the computers. So if if they're lost or anything like that, they can be shut down immediately. Majority of the departments in the county are going with this software. The plus side to it, it's going to be more efficient as far as billing purposes go, because of all the information being kept on the cloud. It will be more readily available for billing purposes for our billing company. To tie in with the next ordinance, that's our regular, if I may speak on that also.
Absolutely.
That's our regular contract with Medi-Count. As you notice, when we first started with Medi-Count, I think we paid like 10.5%. Then it dropped to 8.5%. Now it's down to 6.5% in this ordinance. The difference is trying to meet different criteria and everything. The cost of the safety pad will be deducted from our collection funds before it comes to the city. So they work hand in hand together. So they were originally going to be one ordinance, and the law department determined they had to be separate ordinances because they were actually separate contracts, because Medi-Count, with our old software, Medi-Count was not enter into a contract with them. But with the new guidelines and everything, the city of Norwood has to enter into that contract with the safety pad. So that's the difference. So they reduced our billing costs down to 6.5%, and that 2% reduction will cover the cost of the safety pad. So it's getting everything to work together.
Any questions, Mr. Sanker?
Yes, Chief. This software, it will be utilized by our Medi-Count company.
For billing
But will this
purposes also.
Will it be here that we will be entering the information?
Yes.
Or the software will be there and they
Yeah,
will
on our
take care of it?
computers, on our computers that we carry for all of our runs, that's the software that's on a computer that we do our reporting with also. So everything, the difference is in the past, we always kept information on the computers, and then we would have to upload that information to Medi-Count, and then they would do the billing. This goes directly to the cloud. So once we're at the hospital, it's cleared off the system. We don't have it on our computers anymore. So our exposure to losing any information and violating any part of HIPAA as far as patient information goes is greatly reduced with this. But we'll only have, from the time we make contact with the patient till we get to the hospital, that little bit of information collected on that run, that's our only exposure now. Because as soon as we get to the hospital, it's gone to the cloud and it automatically goes to our billing. So we no longer have the exposure of having that information anymore, which is what happened last time. We had 100,000 patient documents on when that tough book was lost. Fortunately, it wasn't compromised, but we had to go through 2 years of a lot of work to satisfy the government, even though there wasn't a compromise of information. So this is just a continuation of trying to limit the city's exposure to that.
Are you still able to pull reports from that once you
We can go,
upload it, or once
yeah,
it's
we,
gone?
certain people have authority in the fire department. You know, we have to do quality assurance. You know, there's this, but that comes from Medi-Account's server, the billing agency server. We don't have that stored anymore, so we remotely log on, give it a password, and able to get to Medi-Account's server to pull that information for quality assurance, or if we don't even anymore, for the coroner's office, for the police department, we used to supply all the reports necessary for them when it was necessary on, you know, if there was a criminal investigation aspect. Now all that goes through Medi-Account. So anybody that requests a copy of an EMS report, we've removed that liability from the city altogether also. So now everything goes through them, and that's the whole goal, because the fines, as you know, Donna, are huge. We're talking millions of dollar fines. So we were fortunate enough, we had a lady who was an attorney for a very large hospital in Texas, and she was legal counsel for them, and she's the one that developed all their HIPAA policies. Her husband got transferred to Cincinnati, and she was kind of looking for something to do. So after me messing with it for about a year and going back and forth with the federal government, she stepped in, and all of our policy, everything was done by her. Unfortunately, her husband got transferred to New York, so, but we still have contact with her if we have any questions. So this is just a follow-up. You know, we have to do, all employees, we have to do certain, you know, on certain sites, HIPAA sites, we have to do checks on them every year. Any new employee, we have to do checks on them to make sure they're not put on this HIPAA blacklist. So, you know, it's, we've had all kinds of review policies that we have to do every year. It's very, very involved. But the policy's in place, we've got everything working, and it's running pretty smooth. But this is going to be a continual process. It's not going to change. They're going to put more requirements on us down the road, but at least we're completely compliant now. And my whole goal through this whole process, which was an eye-opening experience for me when this happened, is to limit the liability to the city, because they don't care if it's a city or not. You know, they'll fine you millions of dollars, and how they get their money is you won't get Medicare or Medicaid payments until it's paid off. So, you know, they'll get it one way or the other. So we're in really good shape. And like I said, the Medi-Account contract that comes up next, our Medi-Account contract was up. That's why we're doing this at this time. We have to renew that contract every so many years. So we just put it all together at this time. So January 1st, we'll be ready to start the year off on a new platform.
Any other questions of Chief Goodman? I'm sorry, Mr. Whittington.
So, what is making this an emergency?
January
Passing the
1st.
test?
Yeah, because we have in service, we can't do anything. We can't get the software until this is passed. So we want to go online in January to start a whole new year, so we don't end up with two separate locations of information starting next year. So we always try to do something in January. The holdup wasn't really a holdup, it was just us doing our due diligence, trying to get everything the way it was supposed to be. You know, basically get our ducks in order, making sure it's the way it's supposed to be. But that's basically why it's an emergency. You know, we want to go online. Plus, the other thing is there's a significant savings if we do it prior to December 13th, I think it is, or 14th or something like that. I forget the date now. And I just got that email yesterday, which didn't have any bearing on the ordinance. It was just a nice little surprise.
Any other questions of the chief? Thank you, Chief Goodman.
Thank you very much.
What's your pleasure? Mr. Mumford,
I move we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all three readings.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Open Incorporated DBA Safety Pad for the safety pad and other software products and related maintenance and services with said software products for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Open Incorporated DBA Safety Pad for the safety pad and other software products and related maintenance and services with said software products for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Open Incorporated DBA Safety Pad for the safety pad and other software products and related maintenance and services with said software products for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mumford,
I move the ordinance be passed.
seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry?
Yes.
Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Our final ordinance for consideration is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Medi-Account Management, Inc. for EMS billing services for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Mr. Sanker.
Madam President, I recommend we'd have all three readings by caption only, please.
Seconded by Mr. Mumford. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. Please have all three readings.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Medi-Account Management Incorporated for EMS billing services for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Medi-Account Management Incorporated for EMS billing services for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Medi-Account Management Incorporated for EMS billing services for the Norwood Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mumford.
I move the ordinance be passed.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We will move on to administration reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Begin with just briefly, on Saturday was Christmas Town. Beautiful weather, huge success, large turnout, a great time. I think Jenny Wall said there was like 500 kids that went to see Santa and got packages from him, which is a huge turnout. Carriage rides, everything was really a good success, and the businesswomen once again did a really good job. It turned out well. Tree lighting went off at 6 o'clock. It was just a perfect day. During that thing, and I want to thank Donna Lake and Rodney Rogers for putting that together. What we did was we opened that time capsule. A lot of documents inside, a lot of information. What was amazing, the paper material stuck together pretty well, but the paper clips that they put on disintegrated. So Rodney's taken those and he's taken them down at Historical Society, and what we're looking at is eventually he'd like to put a display case down on the first floor City Hall for people to view the documents and see them, but obviously you can't be in there touching them and you know, with your hands and everything. So we're going to be looking at a company to photograph, scan each document page by page by page and put it on a website, which will that we can so people can go on the website and view each document page by page. There's a lot of interesting information in there. It was fascinating. Whoever did it, they went to a lot of trouble. And now the process will begin to put another time capsule in there. And then, once again, we want to get input from people to find out what they would like to see go into the time capsule, to seal it up and put it back in there. So we will be coming out with the help of the Historical Society to start putting out for suggestions for people who want to put it in there. And we will also keep you posted on when it will go on the web page, when the display case will go into the first floor hallway to view the documents. As you know, the Beach Street from Norwood or to Highland Avenue has been reconstructed. They plan to put down the base coat either Wednesday or Thursday, and that will stay that way till spring. Rather than put down the finish coat, they'll put down the base coat, which will be fine, and then they'll put the finish coat down in the spring, and that will complete it. Forest and Harris should open on schedule, I believe Friday at the end of the week, and then shortly after that, the railroad crossing at Norwood and Linden will close down for a week in order for that to get rebuilt. Now, the railroad's moving quick on this. We really need them to move quick, but part of their incentive is they're shutting down. They can't run trains through down there through most of the construction. So there's the incentive to get it done. As you know, we've been trying to get those intersections and those crossing repairs for some time. And like I said to you about a month ago, we had contact with the railroad and they have since changed hands. And there's a willingness on the new owners of the railroad, IO, to upgrade it, to repair the crossings, and most importantly, to repair the tracks. I've had a conversation with the chief before that one of the concerns was their business is growing, and on occasions they will block Highland Avenue, Norwood, and Harris. And that's because they're assembling these long trains in those yards to either go up into northeast Ohio or cutting up through central Ohio. Norfolk and Southern handle the rest going up through Chicago. So they're starting to assemble, their business is growing at such a pace that they need to assemble longer trains, and that McCullough Yard is not large enough to accommodate that. So what they're doing is they've run new lines just over in Oakley, down along that B&O, Baltimore and Ohio chute, and they run new lines down through there to assemble longer trains, which is fine. That helps us out. The people that rent those apartments over there are not happy. They apparently are putting signs up on their decks and porches that said, "Please don't blow horns." But you can't tell a railroad that. So, but that's what they're doing. They're assembling those longer trains over there, which I think will help us. And if it does not, the relationship is improving with the railroad. And I think, a couple of meetings with them and some conversations, it might help the situation. It's better than what it used to be, that's for sure. As you remember, back some time ago, we applied for grants for the Public Works grants, and we've been notified that we received a grant for the dead end of Hunter from Worth Avenue to the entrance to Hunter Park for $595,000. That will do curbs, sidewalks, all of that, all down through that, for that section there. And we also received a grant for Williams Avenue from Montgomery Road to Crosley for $1,132,000. And that will, once again, do those same things. It will do the curbs, the sidewalks, and the infrastructure down through there. And what we'll do, our part of the match, we will use $100,000 from the Community Block Grant Funding Program. So Joe will be discussing it with our engineers and everything, and hopefully those projects will start in the spring. So those are, those are just projects that we need to get done, and we've got the funding covered for it. So I guess that's about it, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Mumper?
Yes, I understand that the bill for the city hall was in the Cornerstone box.
Yeah, well,
That's been paid, hasn't it?
well, as far as we know, unless somebody refinanced it when we weren't looking, but it is. And I think I told Donna, he can correct me on the numbers. It was funny. We looked at
The audit?
the expenditures for the city,
The auditor's report was in there.
and they took. Yeah, we want to show that to Jim. We'll say, for example, they took in $84,048.62. They spent $84,662. I mean, so nothing's really changed. But it's some fascinating thing. There's pictures of there was a lot of inputs from churches. There's a picture of St. Peter and Paul when it was a little wood building. They built Norwood High School at the time. They built Sharpsburg School. There was just a lot of interesting items in there, a Bible, so we plan on doing the same thing, politically correct. We'll put another Bible back in there, and by the time somebody sues us, it'll be sealed up and done. So, but the idea is that there was a lot of good information on that, and the idea is to get it out so people can read it. Obviously, on documents like that, even though you'd like to thumb through them, you can't. You'll just destroy them. So we'll look at a way that we can scan them and get them out so the public can see them, and then we'll put them on display. But like I said, Donna and Rodney were great. Joe and John were down there. Joe Sanger and John Mumper was at the thing. It was just a great day, and to open all that, and there was a lot of interest from the people down there to see what was in the documents. It was fascinating to open them. And you always wonder, while they were sealing it, what the comments were, what the comments were and what was going on, and the process they used to choose documents to go in there. There was a lot of information from the schools. It was just, I thought it was fascinating, didn't you? So, that's it.
Yes, Mr. Brady.
Can you tell us, thank you, Madam President, can you tell us what type of tools they used to open it?
Rodney used a
We tried everything in the world. Blowtorch, he got it up to 980 degrees and it wouldn't do anything. We tried a Dremel and the Dremel kept skipping, and so he took a chisel.
You would understand
Chiseled
this. It wasn't solder. It
Because
was
I wouldn't understand anything else.
no. I mean, construction-wise, it was lead. It was solder, but it was actually lead,
Lead
which
solder.
made it a little bit tough. And they drilled a hole in the side of it, and everybody thought, well, they drilled into that. No, they didn't. There was a hole drilled in it, and Rodney tells me that on a lot of these time capsules, they will drill a small hole, into the capsule itself.
Breathe.
Yeah, I
Correct.
guess. And
In some communities, they weren't able to open the lid, so they've used that small hole and took tin snips to cut the sides,
Right.
but Rodney
Yeah.
was able to take a chisel and actually chisel the two
Oh,
sides,
so
and
you
then we
chiseled
peeled it
open.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we took the position where Don and I talked about it, and Bob like, hey, we're not messing with that thing. Let the
You actually-
Historical Society do it.
You actually used the torch?
Rodney did. My
yeah.
husband, we had it for a while, and my husband said, I don't think it's right that I should do this. Historical Society should do it. I just wanted to make sure.
That's
we
all I
went
need
over
to do
while
is
they were
burn
there.
that stuff up. You know how well that would go over, don't you?
Rodney did, he tried it and it didn't work. So Rodney and Rodney
We'll
did a
we'll
great
keep you
job.
posted on it. We'd like to get it out for people to see. We really would. It's, for those who really care, I'm sure there are a lot of people, it is fascinating, and it really is. So, we'll keep you posted.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Mumper.
Just a personal comment on Christmastown. There was more tents this year, I noticed, which made it nice because, you know, there was a nip in the air, and the tents were heated, in case people don't know. Matter of fact, they were so warm that you had to take your coat off once you were in the tent for more than 5 or 10 minutes. But it was nice, and therefore they sold more refreshments that way. And the firemen were selling the refreshments, which was nice.
Yeah, well, all the vendors sold out. All the vendors sold out. Sometimes they had chains, and these were all local vendors, and all the vendors sold out. I walked by, they were deep frying Twinkies,
Yum.
and nah.
That pot
Even,
thing
I don't
didn't
care what the
pass.
cardiologist said, I'm not
That
eating
pot
deep
thing
fried
didn't
Twinkies.
pass. Why
But I mean, it was really a nice day, and it was really well attended, and people appreciated it. So, once again, it's the business women who worked, and we did what we could to support them.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President.
We'll move on to other requests to address council. We have two. The first is Pastor Sonny James. You want to come forward, and you'll have 5 minutes. Give us your name and address.
Thank you, Madam President. Pastor Sonny James, 1830 Hopkins Avenue. I'm going to try to be very, very brief, and I'm going to ask the council to bear with me because we've got some real serious things that we need to address. First, before I do so, before council, there was a gentleman that announced that he had lost to his family, and we certainly want to send condolences and strength to him and his family during this time of loss. Second of all, giving honor to whom honor is due, I want to thank Cindy Tincher, a community resident who really encouraged me to step up and begin to get more active and involved. We recently had a shooting here in our city, and I want to just make sure that everybody is a little more clear than what's been put out so far. There was a gentleman who was shot in the face. But the issue that I really have and that I want to make sure that we understand, and that's why I have a plan that I want to present to our leadership here that we can move forward on, because I do have over 25 years of experience hands-on with at-risk youth and civil unrest. But my concern is, and you all need to know this, and this is verifiable facts, one of the young men involved had been receiving threats to his life. And all of this information had been forwarded to our local police department. One of the threats clearly said, if you come outside, you're going to be blasted, shot, you're going to die. Now my concern is, as leaders, this young man is in a store, in a business, in our community, and he does not call on us, not just the police, I'm talking us. And so, as he's being then approached by individuals who clearly have said, today's your day. What's wrong here? That someone in our community, instead of calling for help, would feel like he would be better off on his own. That is a sad day. Now, with that in mind, I didn't come here tonight just to blow hot air. I came because with my previous experience, I do have a plan for us that I would like to unveil that we can work on together, all of us together. But we need to do so with a certain skill set, and I thank God for having that. Number one, inclusion. We need one cohesive plan. Number two, more effective community relations and a presence. Tonight before council, myself and many of our residents went to the streets where a lot of the crime has been occurring. And we encouraged the residents that help is on the way. And we need to do more of that. Our next community walk will be next Tuesday, the 15th, in these high crime areas from 5:30 to 6:30, and I hope everyone will come. Number three, surveillance cameras. I came before council before and said that I was working on an initiative for that. We need to actually step that initiative up. I met with Jim Stith. There's some things we need to work out with that, but I think we need to step that up. I've talked to over 180 residents that all agree. Four, reinvesting in our youth. We have businesses here. We need to get involved. We need to do more for these youth. And I understand the city's budget, but there are other creative ideas. Five, we need mentors assigned to these at-risk youth. Six, we need programs for the parents of these at-risk youth. Seven, we need to allow our legal community, we need to have them revisit sometimes some of the consequences that we put on our young folks. In the city of Cincinnati, there's a diversion program. We need to look at alternative routes of consequences. Just locking everybody up doesn't do anything. Number eight, and I'm trying to be quick, a youth community forum. We do this for our drug and alcohol coalitions and things like that, which is a great thing. We need to actually hear from these young folks and create a sense of confidence that we want to hear what they say and we care. Nine, we need a heavy emphasis on an after-school program. 2 to 5 is great. The crimes don't happen then. They're happening after 5 o'clock. And we have a plan for that. 10, a community town hall presence. I couldn't sit on one of our community programs because my thing is we need to make sure that the whole community has equal opportunity to hear what it is we're trying to do. And that's important. 11, we need more of a clergy presence, praying over these issues. And so there's a plan for that to bring more clergy together. 12, transparency amongst local leadership. When someone comes with an awesome idea, listen folks, it doesn't matter what they look like, it doesn't matter whether you like them or not. It's a matter of, is it best for moving our community forward? We have a plan for that. And then number 13, as you all are very, very familiar with, we need, on all of these issues, we need to declare a state of an emergency. I want to thank God for each of you who have a heart for this community, and I mean each of you because I know you do. I want to challenge our residents. It's time to step up. Come out on next Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30. We'll meet again at the Norwood Rec Center parking lot, and we will declare safer streets yet again. We are tired of the violence. Stop the violence. We want peace. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for your time. Have a blessed evening.
Next, we have Kathy Baker. Would you come forward and state your name and address, and then you'll have 5 minutes as well.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam Secretary, sorry. My name is Kathy Baker. I live at 1902 Cortland. Every one of you all know me. First off, I just want to thank you all. I couldn't imagine. I've been PTA. That was enough for me. But what you all do is far and beyond. And I just want to say, you know, I kept hearing state of emergency, state of emergency. Norwood is in a state of emergency. When that young man was shot in the face, I could not even believe, I couldn't imagine being the mother of that young man getting that call. I couldn't imagine that. I don't want to imagine that. I have 2 children. I graduated from Norwood in 1986. My husband graduated in 1980. My daughter just graduated in 2015. She was walking with me. I've never been so proud that my daughter's standing right there next to me. No more violence. We want peace. My daughter is 18 and understands this and hears all the stories how our city used to be. I still live in the house I grew up in 40 years ago. I don't recognize this city at all than what it was when I grew up. I have a 14-year-old son who's in 8th grade. I want him to be safe. I don't want him to be scared. And he wants to be a preacher. He wants to go out and tell the people of kindness and the greatness of this world and of our community, how that's part of our problem. Where did the prayer go? Where did the family time go? And if there's no time for people and the children and the family and a place for them to go, then they can't combine together as a community and us find our way back. We used to be the gem of the Highlands. That to me is a diamond. That is the most beautiful gem. But then again, most women do like diamonds, don't we? But you know, I want to see that back. I want to be safe. I volunteer with the youth services at our schools, the Avenues for Success. I volunteer with doing lunches for football, for all the away games, all basketball, anything I can do, I'm there. My children aren't even in elementary schools and I go there. But I see kids scared. As soon as that bell rings, they know they got to get home. You know, Cleveland Avenue, Sherman Avenue is becoming very scary. I grew up in the Fun Factory. Now I wouldn't dare think about sending my children there and letting them go there unless I was there. And even if I'm there, people please. Something happens to one of them kids. I am mom to every child in this town. And it begins with not just our leaders, it goes on down. What's the old saying? Takes a village to raise a child. I'm part of this village. I am proud to be part of this town. I am proud to say I was born and raised in everything in Norwood. And I don't want to take my kids out of Norwood. I want my whole family to graduate from here. And I want them to be proud and continue raising their children and their family. And I want other people to come to Norwood and be proud. We went to Florida just last year. There was a death in the family. And they said, oh, where are you all from? And because Cincinnati, Norwood, you know, Norwood, you mean heroin town? I had to leave because I started to cry. It broke my heart. And in Miami, Florida, people knew Norwood is that. That's not our town. Now violence and kids are overrupting and overriding everything. And it starts with each and every one of us. And I'm here to tell you today, I'm ready to step up. And I will step up every day, every hour, every minute. And I beg every one of you here, please, from the mayor, from our wonderful mayor, all the way down to each and every one of you, and our people, our community, our leaders, our police officers, we need to come together. We need to stop this. We got to stop the violence. We want peace. I want these streets to be safe. I want to be able to leave my door open. You see, I'm legally blind, but I'm not scared because I know how to protect myself. And I have a dog, and you know, people know me. They don't mess with me. But you know, I want my town back. And I'm not a violent person, but the violence around here makes me very scared and makes me want to leave. And I don't like that feeling. I want my children here. I want my friends' children. I tell people, come to see our town. Come to our Christmas town. It's wonderful. And you're right, it was wonderful. You know, the things that need to change, we all need to come together. Pastor Sonny James has a wonderful plan. I beg you, each and every one, please take this into consideration. You won't do it by yourself. You will have people following behind you and backing every one of us up. Again, God bless you all for everything you do. Have blessed holidays and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you very much. We'll move on to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Any new business? Mr. Mumford.
Yes, I've been getting a lot of calls and et cetera on garbage set out. It seems like we've gotten away from the rules of garbage set out, and people are using plastic bags to put the garbage in, and the law is in garbage cans with lids. A lot of people are experiencing these plastic bags are being attacked by animals the night before garbage collection, and therefore there's garbage all over their streets. My latest contact was somebody on Rhonda Avenue. So I asked Joe Gears if they could send somebody out to check on these things and at least advise the people that there are laws that we have. I don't want them to get a ticket right away, but, you know, we need to start enforcing these laws. It's going to take some time and effort, but it seems to be an ongoing problem. I think there's new people moving into town. They don't know what needs to be done, and maybe we need to summarize what needs to be done for garbage to some of the new people. When they come in and establish their water account, they should be given something maybe that says, here's how you do garbage. But I can see where it's a frustrating thing for the people that do it the correct way, to see it being done the other way and then making a mess. Just thought I'd mention that so we can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mumford. Is there any other new business? On your desks tonight, there are small envelopes that I don't know if you've seen. I attended a meeting today, kind of a follow-up meeting from the We Thrive initiative that we took part in many years ago. And the part of that group still meets, and that group was the one that applied for the Safe Routes to School. So as part of a wrap-up for the year, the kids who, there's a couple of daycares in the city of Norwood who were contacted as part of the We Thrive initiative. And these are from the kids who go to the daycares to send you all thank you cards for the year for all that you do, that we did to keep kids safe. The We Thrive initiative, the resolution that you all adopted in the Safe Routes to School. So they asked me to share those with the council members, so that's what that is. Yes, Mr. Thornberry.
President, I just want to go on record. Mine personally, this is spectacular. This is
Yeah,
excellent
it's cute.
art.
Somebody has one on
Great
the
stuff.
outside that says peas or something. They drew peas and it says peas. The teacher wrote that it was peas. Mine says apple, so it doesn't look like a football. But just darling. Thank you, Mr. Thornberry. I think that's real cute. Mine is Jackson, and he drew vegetables and grapes and tomatoes and stuff. So just wanted to share those with you. And then finally, to let you know that the tree board has finally, I think, we finished Park Avenue. That was completed last week, so the final fourth block of Park Avenue has been completed from Linden to Beach. And so the tree board has done all 4 of those blocks now, and then they've begun yesterday, another contractor has begun doing on Montgomery Road from Norwood lateral down to Maple Avenue. We'll be redoing some of the trees. We cut down the old trees that were looking quite sad, and putting in new trees and some additional flowers and things to make the central business district look a little better. And we'll have other projects in mind, so watch our progress. Thank you for designating those funds from the Community Development Block Grant Funds. We very much appreciate it, and we stretch those as far as we can. So I just wanted to give you that report before the end of the year. Is there any other new business? Okay, we'll move on to communications. We just have one, and that's a letter from the mayor regarding mayor's court fines.
Ms. Donna M. Lake, President, and members of Norwood City Council, Norwood City Hall, R.E. Mayor's Court Fines. Dear Madam President and members of Council, enclosed, please find the report for Norwood Mayor's Court for the month of November 2015. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Thomas F. Williams, Mayor, City of Norwood.
Mr. Clark.
Move that the letter be received and filed.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. We have no absent members. Mr. Clark.
Move to adjourn.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Braden?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Whittington?
Yes.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Thornberry? Yes. Mr. Sanker?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mumford?
Yes.
All members present voting aye, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned.